Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Crafting Customer Experiences at Scale. Before we get started, I'll take you through some housekeeping items. If you have any questions for today's speakers, please submit them in the Q&A section on your screen, and we will answer them at the end of the session. This session is being recorded, and we will send you the recording and the slides by email in the next day or two. Without further ado, I will pass it on to Stefan.
Thank you. My name is Stefan. I'm a director at Cognizant, serving as digital sales and solution lead for marketing and content services in Central Europe out of Hamburg in Germany. Today, I will talk about our approach to help clients providing engaging and effective experiences at scale. And I would like to say thank you very much to Nigel and the Acquia team to invite me to this session. It's an honor to be here today.
Thanks, Stefan. So my name is Nigel Taylor. I've been working in and around information systems for the last 21 years in the US and Europe. And that's from the development, design and coding through to sales, consultation and implementation of those solutions. And in the last few years, I was part of a large marketing team using the kind of tools that we're going to be discussing here today to deliver on branding, positioning and customer acquisition. I'm currently a solutions consultant at Acquia. Acquia is the open source digital experience company that empowers the world's most ambitious brands to embrace innovation and create customer moments that matter. I'll be talking to you later, but for now, I'm going to hand back to Stefan.
Thank you. And if you can move the slides. Oh, that's a great start. That was our introduction slide. Yeah. We skipped that. Now, it's been for more than 2 decades that we've been talking about the experience economy and how companies compete on the experience they provide. Well, after 2 decades, we have to admit it's still a long way to go. The objective of improving experiences for customers, employees, and partners is to build engagement to drive growth. Engagement is built through the entire experience and not a single channel or interaction. And hence, experience is the leading indicator for the future success of companies. But in reality, experience efforts have often been superficial, focusing only on the interaction layer alone, often only in one channel. Successful experiences are based on ability to connect each of the different interactions across the journey and to map them down through the enabling and organizational layers. Winning on experiences requires a connected and transformational mindset. In our understanding, a transformational and connected mindset is defined on 2 sides of the same coin. To drive value at scale, it needs 2 types of connections to be made. A broad connect and understanding across the consumer, employee, and partner ecosystem, and at the same time, the organizational setup deeply in the enterprise to deliver effectively and efficiently at scale. Such connections require the marriage of intimacy and industrialization. But let's have a look why experiences matter that much, how they evolved as the single most important brand differentiator. Let's look at the automotive industry as an example and how consumer expectations has changed over the last few years. But to be honest, this can be seen in any other industry at the same level. Now, when brands were based on products, competition was clear. It was like by like, and users decided whether a BMW or Volkswagen was the brand they liked. Expectations were made against product quality, price, and maybe image. The dimension of expectations was clearly product-driven and hence homogeneous to all customers. But then consumers began to think broader. The car became a utility to manage mobility. And all of a sudden, owning a car was only one of a few options. The competitive field of providing mobility grew to sharing a car, sharing a ride, using a scooter instead, or even eventually to fly. And with this broader range of options, the expectations to each of them grew and the experiences became more versatile and nuanced. The dimension of expectations was driven by the utilization of the product and the fulfillment of individual needs and requirements. And today, thinking about mobility is a combination of multiple separate facets, all of them specifically responding to expectations defined by best-in-class experiences. Mobility nowadays is dependent, for instance, on battery components in the car and its charging capabilities. So expectations may be defined by BYO, a Chinese manufacturer of battery components similar to Tesla's Gigafactory, or by the charging capacity on Ionity, the largest provider of superchargers. From the new iPhone, consumers are used to getting updates and new features over the air, so they wonder why that isn't possible with their car. While the experience to make a service appointment is expected to be as easy and connected as on WeChat, the world's largest communication and service network. Or as a last example, if you're a loyal customer on the move, you start expecting benefits and discounts rewarding your loyalty as in other travel businesses from airlines, hotels, or retailers. On this level, the dimension of expectations is driven by usability and convenience. And consumers are willing to pay for better brand experiences, but brands struggle to consistently and comprehensively meet expectations. To help them, we at Cognizant rigorously apply a human-centric lens to unearth the experience value that any company holds through better meet, every company holds, but better meeting the customer experiences. We support towards delivering at the intersection of consumer intimacy and industrialization and creating engaging experiences for customers and employees alike. And Cognizant is well set to orchestrate the full breadth and depth of this transition to deliver speed to value with focus and agility. We help our clients to win by imagining and enabling exceptional experiences by leveraging the largest digital support service of their kind. But we are connecting data to design, systems to stories, and insights to outcomes. In short, we connect people with experiences. And now let's have a look on how we do that. As I said before, you can't limit experiences to only one channel, interaction, or customer journey. Neither experiences are limited to only one business function, department, or performance KPI. It's a holistic challenge for the whole enterprise. Our approach covers this holistic view. We call this the experience operating model. With an external view, we cover the customer and contextual insights and the creative design of engaging and compelling experiences. But at the same time, experience marketing requires a new foundation of technology and employer empowerment and capabilities to deliver at scale and cost. Let's look at content services as one example and probably the most important driver of brand experiences. Cognizant is able to cover the whole value chain and to support clients end to end. That means a content strategy based on brand and market insights and local demand management. With Cognizant's Content Factory, a centralized studio to run global operations for industrialized content production and adaptation, we simplify and streamline the costly manual work. And finally, we provide analytics and optimization services to drive the business performance against the respective marketing objectives, like attention, conversion, lead generation, or profile enhancement. With Cognizant's capability to blend onshore, nearshore, and offshore teams, and to build bespoke content supply chains with regards to our clients' organization capabilities and capacities, we provide a new enhanced decoupling service model for experiences at scale. If you look at the details of that service model, we're going, starting at the top, going clockwise. Our core content capabilities, the strategy labs, creative studios, and the Content Factory are fully integrated, enabling us to feed our supply chain end to end with content underpinned by insights that blend big data, AI, human empathy, and cultural immersion. By seamlessly fusing our strategy labs, studios, and the factory, we can deliver business as usual content while simultaneously testing, validating, and implementing new strategic approaches. By combining the right data, technology, planning, and creation processes, We deliver experiences tailored to the individual needs, interests, and behaviors of our audiences. And we build multidisciplinary teams led by practitioners who are collectively responsible for quality of work, value for money, and seamless integration with your teams and third-party suppliers across the content supply chain, like local agencies, for instance. By optimizing your technology stack and leveraging our suite of proprietary automation tools, we can remove friction of your content supply chain and increase your speed to market. By reducing the number of suppliers in your supply chain, we can free up your team's valuable time to focus on strategic growth rather than complex executional logistics. We use flexible client engagement models and predictive resource modeling to scale teams up and down in response to demand, enabling us to plug our services into your supply chain where and when you need us. And finally, by decoupling capital-intensive strategy from labor-intensive delivery, using our nearshore and offshore teams, we can reduce the investment required in your content supply chain without sacrificing quality or performance. As a result, we enable you to transform the value, the experiences, and your content delivers by creating exceptional experiences, efficient operations at scale, and improved business performance. Now, summarizing what I said before, I would like to show you a brief case study with one of our clients, BMW, in the UK. We support BMW's retail marketing, serving more than 300 retailers with their individual campaigns. As a first step, we analyzed each of the retailers on behalf of the total inquiries they get and the conversion of these inquiries. As you can see on the left, no single retailer is like the other. The spread of both their consumer demand as well as their ability to convert the demand into orders is huge. As a second step, we had a deep look into the consumer base of each of the retailers using first and third party data. And again, no retailer is the same as the other when it comes to consumer budgets, family structures, demand and requirements, or life cycle. As a result, each of the dealers got a specific profile of recommended models, price points, competitive positioning, etc., to support and optimize the sales effort. Based on these deep and unique insights, we planned campaigns that would cater these particularities. On the very right, you see one example of a campaign meant to support sales of the new Mini Electric to existing customers. And this campaign is highly individualized as it shows the individual distance for each of the known and targeted users to the next charging point closest to them. This campaign was highly appreciated by the audience and performed outstandingly well, basically due to the deep understanding of the user and the ability to utilize data to information, to insight, and in a creative and compelling way in order to provide highly personalized experiences at scale. Of course, this requires a robust technology foundation. Now, let me hand over to Nigel, who will provide a deep look into the marketing technology stack and how the Acquia suite can support the business strategy. And I'm looking forward to come back to your questions after that section.
Yeah, thanks, Stefan. And just to point out, because I did see a raised hand, that there is a Q&A section. So please, any questions, just put them in there and we can have a chat at the end. So thank you, Stefan. I think you did a great job there of describing the experiences that could be built using your experience operating system. But yeah, what about the underlying technology? If we have our design processes embedded into this new way of thinking, what should we be looking for in a supporting stack? From a marketer's perspective, the biggest change is the increasing number of channel levers. Okay, so from a day-to-day basis, in this new experience economy, you've got so many different levers. It's going to be very, very difficult for you at scale to pull the right lever at the right time. So you need technology and you need a data-driven approach. And you kind of need the right mix, right? The right orchestration at scale so that you can ensure your next best action occurs at the right time with absolutely the right message and absolutely using the right lever. So at Acquia, we understand that the customer experience imperative is exploding, but so also are the silos of content and experiences that are holding both marketing and IT back from innovating, really, in these new digital initiatives and driving consistency, right, in that brand experience. So it also is sort of inhibiting building an understanding of customer relationships as well. This is referring to the intimacy that Stefan alluded to. And that's all sort of combined within that brand experience. You're also going to need dependability. Just as we seek to accelerate and scale a digital first business, silos that we were talking about here, they're only compromising that dependability and trust. So we can see from this slide that the number of engagement channels, they're continually growing and they're continually changing. I mean, how many of these did you consider 5 years ago? With IoT and changing modalities of customer interaction, such as, screens, gestures, voice, chatbots, a whole new world of possibilities and challenges has been opened up to us. So we also understand that over the past few years, it's been about the data, right? You've invested more and more in channel and org specific systems that collect and analyze your customer data to optimize specific points of customer interactions tied to business goals. But in the race to innovate across different brands, regions, and let's say organizational units as well, we kind of lost sight of designing each new digital initiative from the ground up with governance in mind. So, based on this slide, the possibilities are many, right? The opportunity to innovate new digital first services and business models to grow new revenue streams and lifelong customer relationships is definitely there. And with all this data, we have an opportunity to understand who our customers are better than ever before and deliver a better customer experience. And we know that consumers have a preference for brands that they trust. So brands that will put consumer data protection and privacy and availability at the heart of the brand promise will of course win. But along with all these opportunities, of course, the challenges are also many. Each new touch point, each new service is yet another silo of digital capabilities, content and experience. We've also become a little bit data blind, right? We've lost the intimacy with our customers and we've lost an understanding of what they are intending to achieve with us. And I guess finally, just to point out on the technical side, a single point of failure, right? One security breach, one lawsuit, one denial of service attack, and we know and understand that consumers potentially could abandon a brand and potentially abandon it for good. So for both marketing and IT, keeping up with this multi-channel was hard enough. But now, of course, we all need to reinvent ourselves as digital first businesses and deliver those consistent brand experience across all these different levers. So over the past 10 years, Acquia have invested consistently across these IT and marketing stacks to drive customer engagement across these channels. And you can see here, all our applications are solids and our touch points as dashed edges. Because we know that to digitally transform, you have to invest in the technology. And with siloed initiatives, each approach, whether it's buy or build, it may solve that immediate individual problem that it's designed for, but they do tend to present new challenges over time. They kind of lock in content in certain applications, so it's only accessible to certain teams. This can result in duplication of effort and inconsistent experiences. They can potentially lock data into specific systems so the information isn't pervasive, right? It's not integrated or viewable across the organization. It's just in that one solo. And again, that results in a lack of customer understanding and intent across the business. And the teams don't tend to trust that individual data. And of course, with each new system, enforcing global governance around security, compliance, and performance slows time to market. So you can get rogue acts of marketing or IT as they try to step outside those boundaries. Ultimately, I think the point here is the more silos that you build, the more you make the problem complex and difficult to overcome. So to do things differently, we've got to truly think outside in and use an open approach to deliver on the promise of customer experience and the promise of our brand. So an open approach is the best way to build what we call a self-directed customer journey. And it's the customer ultimately who needs to benefit from this. So a self-directed journey means that a customer can engage with a brand on any channel or any touch point and receive the relevant experience to move them through the engagement cycle. So for us, it's an evolution of the rigid journeys organizations were building before, but a self-directed journey is a connected experience. It's seamless, it's relevant, it's timely, and it's personal. If you can't communicate with your customers this way to drive brand trust, then we believe that you really are putting your brand and your business at risk. And let's not kid ourselves, this is challenging, right? It introduces risk and complexity, but in the modern world, you have little choice. And we know that this year things got a lot harder, right? Brands have gone from wanting to be digital to needing to be digital. And this is a tectonic shift for a lot of companies in how they engage with their customers. We know there was a report that McKinsey filed, and they found that before 2020, only 8% of companies felt prepared to compete in a digital first world, but realizing they can no longer shift to digital at their own pace now. Brands are responding to that, right? Because McKinsey also highlighted that post-COVID, 73% of companies now plan to increase digital transformation initiatives. However, content, data, all these organizational silos, they still exist, and they're going to continue to block an organization's ability to see the value of being digital first and building trusted brand relationships online. Therefore, we need a new approach. We need a new approach to digital. So let's take a look at how we do that. So I mentioned thinking outside in, right? To do so, we kind of need a new architecture to drive CX. What's kind of required to overcome these silos of content data within the organization, and what does an open approach really kind of look like? So at the core of the experience, we've got to have a single source of truth for content, right? That's how we engage. And we also need a single source of truth for data, right? And that's how we understand. So that anyone in the organization can create content and access data. Both of these elements are critical, and they're equally important when it comes to customer engagement and the makeup of a core digital experience. And on top of that content and data layer is machine learning, right? And the reason that we all need machine learning now is it provides insight and actionability at scale, understanding which customers have a propensity to purchase online, or who your highest value customers are, and using predictive models to understand which channels and times of day that they're most likely to engage on. These are really, really vital things. And back to my point about the levers, right? If you try and do this manually, it's very, very difficult, particularly at the kind of scale that you need to be at in the modern market. This is where machine learning comes in. This is where machine learning knows how and when to take your next best action. And this is, it's all about creating intent, right? We spoke about it earlier, but it's not just understanding who a customer is, but what they're going to be doing next. So from there, you're going to coordinate the effort across these touch points. You're going to orchestrate that experience. So there you have that orchestration layer over the top. And you're going to communicate on the appropriate touch point with the right message to each service, I would say, to sort of service every aspect of that digital experience, right? So you've got your content, your data, and machine learning orchestrated across all of those levers, all of those digital channels. So based on that, we believe that content, experience, data, and risk is at the core of the new architecture to deliver digital experiences. And while your customer is going to benefit from open, your business is going to benefit as well, right? An open approach provides value to businesses in 3 very concrete ways, and you can see them on the bottom left-hand side there. First and foremost, it gives you the velocity, right? It gives you the velocity to go faster, to create content rapidly and to launch digital properties and campaigns more quickly, right? We need to get things done quickly. It gives you the intelligence, right? Intelligence to be smarter, to understand each customer's needs and intent to do more effective marketing. And it also gives you governance, right, to maintain control. And that allows you to scale your business more efficiently, but vitally more securely. So let's take a look at how an open approach gives these benefits. So to deliver consistency in the customer experience, you need to unlock silos of content, experience, and risk. You also need to unlock bottlenecks in development and design that are holding back IT and marketing innovation. The key to unlocking the content, risk, and experience silos is putting in place a secure, compliant, and scalable open content management platform. And that's for both developers and marketers to build and design an optimized digital experience. Openness, modularity, shareability, and composability of content and content managed experiences is going to be central to gaining IT and marketing velocity. And there are 5 steps to being open. So let's quickly walk through those. So the first step is you need to open up to a worldwide community of open source developers. Instant access to any one of thousands of pre-built connectors to legacy systems, to make it fast and simple for developers to download and get started. You've got to crowdsource maintenance and innovation to ensure that integrations are quick, reliable, and future-proofed. So for Acquia, that's Drupal. And today, there are over 1.4 million Drupal users in 230 countries that are committing to seeing Drupal succeed, right? And there's a real pool of diverse experts, and they're regularly working to make Drupal better. So with this in mind, the possibility to create exceptional digital experiences expands far beyond what a single team of proprietary software developers can do. And despite common misconceptions that open source software is more vulnerable than proprietary models, Drupal's large, dedicated open source community gives it an advantage by empowering millions of developers to detect issues in the code and submit bug reports. And it's also got a very flexible API architecture, right? And that's going to support exponential content growth across a complete ecosystem of channels, right? So we're thinking about apps, or we're talking about digital signage or voice. Drupal can power any one of these things. And we completely support all of this on our secure and governed platform with compliance and a 99.95% SLA, right? So you need that guarantee that your site's going to be up. Second step is you need to open back-end and front-end systems to enable developers to rapidly build, package, and deploy services. And you can assemble stacks of different content managed experiences, such as a commerce site or a customer or an employee portal. And then you can do that by simply combining different integration modules and business capacity modules. Through optimized continuous integration, delivery of new and updated modules can be rapidly rolled out with safety and security. And third, you need to open composability of content and content managed experience to the business users, right? So developers need the ability to define content models and components that can ensure content is structured and discoverable and shareable across any experience of any type. And that needs to be for all new and emerging digital experiences. Marketing must be directly empowered to access, enhance, and mobilize content and content presentation without it being locked up in custom applications. They also need to shorten the idea to experience gap, right? So that means that they need to organize creative assets such as images, PDF, and videos into a single repository and ensure only approved assets are available for content creation. Fourth, yes, you need to be open to empower marketing to rapidly build and package and deploy their own digital experience without any IT bottlenecks. So you're abstracting IT from the business, and you empower marketers by giving them access to libraries of pre-approved templates and presentation components so they can build their own digital experiences. And fifth, Finally, you need to be open to a new multi-experience world by empowering marketing to enhance experience design without IT or web design bottlenecks. So what that means really is modularity of business capabilities, content and presentation kind of needs to be extended to UX more broadly, because in this new multi-experience world, marketing kind of needs to go beyond drag and drop assembly of web page components to drag and drop assembly of UX design components to optimize that customer experience regardless of the screen or the device or the modality. So to deliver intimacy in the customer experience, right, you've got to unlock silos of data and insight and unlock bottlenecks in data analytics and data science, because these are holding back marketing from optimizing that customer journey. So the key to unlocking these data silos is putting in place a secure and a compliant and a scalable open customer data platform for both data analysts and marketers to understand, personalize, and orchestrate customer journeys. So again, there are 5 steps to being open for customer data. So first of all, you need to open up a new world for the data analyst, right? For the analyst, they need instant access to any kind of pre-built connectors to legacy systems to aggregate customer profile data quickly and easily without having a dependency on IT to custom build or custom code a massive data lake or a one-off kind of integration. Second, you need open insights across back-end and front-end systems to enable analysts with a kind of a 360-degree view of a customer profile, right? So you're automatically stitching together profiles across channels, devices, systems, pretty much anywhere a customer would engage. And then you're going to deduplicate that data, normalize it and clean it up to get that single view of customer interactions across all parts of the customer life cycle. And that's going to include not only your digital side of things, so your web and your apps, and maybe digital signage, but also physical entities as well. So call centers, right? Your point of sale, any other kind of channel that you can think of needs to tie back in to the customer 360 profile. Third, you need to open machine learning to everyday marketers and remove bottlenecks with data science. So this allows for everyone to be a data-first marketer, right? Machine learning models can drive next best offer, which we talked about before, or they can recognize a propensity to act under certain situations. But you can only really do this with an open framework because it allows you to build custom machine learning models that you can optimize for next best customer interactions specifically for your business. Fourth, you need to be open to empower marketing with a single environment to assemble and optimize multi-channel campaigns, right? So we talked about all these levers. How do we optimize them and how do we action them at scale? So by combining reusable content from your CMS with customer data and from your CDP, you drive campaigns across web, email, social, and any other channel that you can think of, right? So we're using those levers at scale with machine learning, backing that up. And fifth, you need to be open to empowering marketing, right? You're giving them this single environment to assemble and optimize these multi-experience journeys. You combine your UX designs from your CMS and your machine learning driven insights from your CDP to orchestrate these self-directed journeys across all digital touch points. And then from there, you're going to eliminate any kind of fixed or prescribed or channel specific journeys, right? It's all done at scale. It's all done within this data first approach. Very quickly, something I just wanted to add into the mix, because increasingly at Acquia, we're seeing a trend towards headless microservices e-commerce platforms that underpin a single brand storefront strategy. This ensures that the brand experience is a single experience for content and commerce, and it gives the flexibility to create branded digital channels, right? And it also offers a whole range of extra services because it's headless, so you can do in-store purchasing across various devices using maybe QR scanners or digital signage within the phone. So while traditional commerce platforms are monolithic with preset templates that require expensive customizations, headless commerce delivers a kind of unique, differentiated shopping experience with multiple benefits, right? It reduces the cost and time and development of new capabilities, roughly 3 to 5 times less. And not only does it reduce absolute costs, right, but it also reduces the build-up of technical debt, right, because you're applying a best-of-breed policy across different solutions that all plug in to this one platform. Another drawback of the monolith solution is it's hard to replace a single piece of functionality with a third-party service. So, for example, if you were going to be integrating into a PIM, a third-party PIM, that would be quite expensive because all the other components in the solution are tied to the embedded functionality of the monolith. But with a headless scenario, each microservice is independent, and it's possible to replace any of them, right? So you're abstracting your all of your independent pieces of the e-commerce puzzle, and you're making them less sticky with an orchestration layer in headless e-commerce. So again, the philosophy of best of breed applies, right? So when you use the most appropriate tool for each facet of the solution, this could accommodate a change in requirements where speed of change and development significantly decreases costs and increases flexibility. A microservices approach is also going to significantly reduce your technical debt here. It means that you're just not adding to a never-ending backlog. You're delivering new capabilities all the time. So I'm just going to summarize what we've discussed, and then Stefan and I will take some questions, right? So we can see here how bringing all this technology together allows us to quickly build scalable, flexible, and personalized customer journeys. So in this scenario, the prospectors search for an item online, and they based the ad, and based on the ad click-through, they've been presented with a personalized page. And as the prospect interacts with the website, the CDP, the customer data platform in the background, begins to get an understanding of their interests, right? And by doing so, they can determine their persona and their segmentation. So when the prospect signs up to an email subscription, they also book an in-store appointment to view the jacket, right, that they're looking at. So the CDP captures this, it captures the email address, it performs that data cleansing we were talking about, dedupes for any other records, and then it stitches the cookie, the email address, and any of the other data pieces associated with this prospect together into that single view. And eventually the prospect travels to the store, checks in with their email address, where they're presented with a welcome message and several other recommended products to view while they're in store via digital signage. But at this stage, the prospect has still not purchased. They receive a follow-up email from the in-store visit. This time, they add the items to the cart, but again, their attention is diverted and they abandon. So the CDP notices this, right? So because as we go through each of this stage of the purchasing process, events are triggered. So the CDP decides that the next best action is an abandoned cart email, right? So it triggers a campaign with a discount. This is all hands-free. This time, the prospect goes straight to the abandoned cart. They're going to purchase the items. Therefore, they are then converted to a customer. So far, then, we've followed the prospect's journey through from lead, nurturing, and conversion to customer. The next journey is the ongoing one, right? It's that continual experience the customer has with your brand. We therefore have to ensure their experience with you is first class. So you have to provide extra services along the delivery process, for example, or post-sale. And you need to keep continually highlighting the ongoing benefits of using your brand. So investing here is critical and it's key, because if you do, it's going to ensure that you turn your customers into advocates, right? And fans of your brand are then going to go online and evangelize your products and your services, all based on that ongoing experience with you. And there we have it, right? To build customer-led journeys, you need the correct methodologies and design processes in place, as Stefan described. And then combine that with the correct technology stack, you can then provide those experiences at scale. And what does this look like in reality? So Lululemon is a customer of Acquia Marketing Cloud and have been since 2016. They first engaged us because they had a very disconnected business between their stores and their online business. They had dozens of source systems and they had data that was isolated and difficult for marketers to access and even to understand, right? So by bringing everything together into a single customer profile, this enabled Lululemon to orchestrate the way they engaged with their customers in yoga or in workshop or actually in their stores or on their website, and actually a lot of the times in community events as well, right? So that's all through the orchestration process in the CDP. And as a result, they recognized that Acquia Marketing Cloud led to a 15% revenue increase, a 50% increase in website visits, and a 25% in event participation. They were able to get that data of their customers, understand exactly who their customers were and what they preferred, whether it was an in-store experience, a yoga experience, a community event experience, and they were able to drive actions that were suited to each of those individual customers. Okay, so thank you for your attention today. Both Stefan and I hope it's been informative. We're now going to take any questions. Over to you, Stefan.
Thank you, Nigel. I think that was very interesting, connecting, the business approach and the business thinking together with the technology thinking. As we said in the beginning of the webinar, if you have any questions, please type them in the Q&A section within Zoom. I can't see any open questions right now, so probably people are digesting what they heard, but feel free to write it in. In the meantime, Nigel, I have a question. So you had this impressive slide with the broad tech stack, and we all have in mind that this annual collection of logos of different vendors that are getting tinier and tinier from each year to year. So what is your recommendation for anyone to start and then selecting the different technologies and vendors, how to get that started?
Good question. I mean, I think ideally you have to start with the mindset, right? You have to start by thinking, I need an open approach. Because if you don't, then if you have, just as we've described for Lululemon, if you have all these kind of proprietary pieces of software that are kind of hidden throughout your business with individual owners, and the data is hard to get at, and you can't look at it from a holistic level and understand it properly, then you're really going to struggle. Now, obviously, I represent Acquia, and ideally, I'd like all my customers to buy all my software, because obviously, I think it's the best. However, we are quite practical, and we understand that actually a lot of our customers want a best of breed approach, where they will evaluate individual solutions on different merits. So back to that open approach, the way we work is that if you start with the CDP as an example, and that's to answer your question directly, that's where I would recommend people start to sort of capture the data and start understanding customers. But if you start with a CDP that's open, and you can start plugging in, yes, other Acquia solutions like your Drupal CMS and things like that, but also if you already have a marketing automation tool that is embedded into your way of working, that will plug into an open CDP, right? And if you already have personalization through a dynamic yield, for example, that would plug into an open CDP. So yeah, I guess my point would be that would be the key place to start. Start thinking open and start looking at how you bring your customer data into a single coherent view. We call it like the data first approach. I guess I'd probably ask the same question for you, right? So that's from a technical perspective. From a services perspective and a methodology perspective, experiences, are they just a technological issue? Or where do you recommend your clients actually start this process off with?
Yeah, a great question as well. So it is a very complex challenge the client is to do. And even though it sounds oversimplistic, but you need to know where to go before you start your journey. And that means, or that should mean in the case that you first of all be clear on what is the experience that you want to deliver. Do you want to be very, informative or very easy to understand? Do you want to be entertaining, or do you want to focus on a specific target group depending on your industry? Do you have the easiest to use in terms of usability, or the broadest in terms of information that you provide? All of that is a way of, where you need to position yourself first. And I'm a big fan of having technology serving your objectives. So that follows. So you're looking for the technology, the touch points, the way to set them up, serving your experience objectives. In reality, however, we see very, very often that technology comes first, and then the experience is, determined by the technology, what the technology is able to do, what the data is available, and based on that, you define experiences. That's not the way it should be. However, I understand where companies coming from. They have a legacy technology set, and nobody's building that on a greenfield. But think about the theory first on what you want to achieve, and then work against that objective, not the other way around. That's my recommendation here.
Okay. That's good advice. Okay, so I'm not seeing any other questions.
No, unfortunately not. So either I hope we answered them all in our presentation and not make people fall asleep, but it would be great if the audience had one or two questions for us as well.
No, it doesn't look like it's seven. Okay, so I think probably we'll wrap things up at this particular point then.
Yeah, that's fine. Tanya, over to you.
Okay, all right. So thank you very much, everybody. I am now going to end the webinar.
Thank you. Thanks, Nigel. Thanks, everybody, for joining.